Call meeting order at 5:16. Starting with roll call. Bob?
Bacon, present.
Smith, present.
Hunter present.
Johnson present.
Keyquan present.
Bowers present.
Fig, present.
And item 3, how does the agenda look tonight? Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Agenda.
Support.
Motion by Bars, support by Fig to approve tonight's agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion's carried. Item 4, approval of the regular meeting minutes of December 17th. Everybody has one in your packet.
Move that we approve the minutes as presented.
Motion by Fig. Any support?
Support.
Support by Smith. All in favor of approving the meeting minutes of
Yes,
December
sometimes.
17th?
Balanced out.
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Meeting minutes are approved. Item 5, public comment. See nobody in the galley. Well, keep going on to item 6, the reports about accounts payable.
Thank you and good evening, everybody.
Hello, Mark.
Don't have much in the way of accounts payable this month, but what we do have is on page 3 of your agenda packet, the monthly bill for Consumers Energy, $2,123.45. We have an invoice for Block Electric totaling $526.30. That was to do a little bit of maintenance for the holiday lights. I believe that's what the photo eyes were for. And then the banners, we had to have those removed and a little bit of repair done on those before they can go back up, so they took those down. The quarterly irrigation bill, $4,012. And then we needed to replace a lock at your storage shed, $17.97 at Gilroy's. And then the monthly MMI bench ground area maintenance that they do for us, $354 and no change. The total for the month is $7,033.76. Be happy to answer questions on these particular payments. And then at some point, you'll need to take action to approve these payments.
On the utility bill, when do we have the water shut off on our irrigation?
It's been shut off. I'm not sure exactly whether, I don't know, I think it was December at some point. It might have been November.
For the water to be shut off? So the irrigation was running all the way through November into December?
I don't know exactly when it was shut off, but the bill covers September 11th through December 11th, that quarterly period.
Okay. Do we really need to have, I guess, my question would be for us, the board, is do we want to shut the irrigation off earlier, like at the end of August? Because I don't see any need at all for irrigation in September. We've got plenty of moisture at that point in time. I mean, that seems like an exorbitant sum of money to pay for something you really don't need, unless that includes the blowing of the irrigation lines too.
I'd have to look to see if it includes the shut-off. I think it does. I did look back, because I kind of thought the same thing. There were similar levels of bills in December of 19, a little lower, but still kind of high in 18. And the system is on a timer, and unless it's shut off, it just kind of comes on.
Keeps going, yeah. I mean, it's something for everybody else to discuss, but I think maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea.
I just suggest that we watch it. If it's getting a lot of moisture, got a lot of moisture in it, you know, you can come September, October, and it's just bone dry, you know, but.
Usually in September is when you cut your irrigation back, I mean, in my experience.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and Marty probably concur with that, is September's usually a wet month. But, I mean, if it's $4,000, I don't see a need to be
And that's for the
irrigating.
fourth quarter?
That's for the fourth quarter, yeah.
Would be October, November, December.
That's what I was thinking.
Why would it be
Why would
fourth?
September even be in
You
the
shouldn't even have a
fourth
bill,
quarter?
or is that an automatic bill of some type?
The usage period is September 11th through December 11th. That's the billing period. The system's on a timer. It's not measuring the moisture in the ground. So it's coming on. It- All
$4,000
the
is
time.
basically almost a month then.
Yeah.
A month and a half, maybe. It's come out in November too, or?
It'd be worthwhile checking. I would bet that that includes winterization charges, blowing charges.
That would go.
Otherwise,
that would be-
there'd have been frozen
That would have
sprinkler heads
been
by
from
then.
Teelan,
That would
though.
have been Teelan.
That would have been
similar.
utilities.
Yeah, wouldn't
True.
Well, it's sometimes a
point.
good idea to shut that off earlier, because otherwise you're gonna build up mildew. I mean, like, that's a problem too.
Usually not in irrigation lines, but you want to make sure that I mean, to be prudent, if we're going to spend $4,000, we're watering when we really don't need to have water.
Yeah, and I'm
So why
thinking the
spend it?
water's not good for the grass when there's too much water.
Yeah, but it depends on when it's watering and this, you know, but I think for the most part, I mean, my suggestion would be is when we get to a point in the meeting when we can do that, is somebody to make a motion that we here forward, maybe turn the irrigation off on August 30th or 31st.
That'd be a little early, I know, out the resort, we'll start shutting our fountains down, shoot, sometimes the first week or second week in October. Irrigation's about the same, where you really, when your first frost and freeze up, I mean, you're talking mid-October, you're pretty safe, but I'd hate to miss where we need irrigation third week in September and we're already shut off, you know what I mean, and it looks like crap,
Well, they're already pulling the flowers up by then, Tom.
so.
I can look into
Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
shut off the system, winterize it,
Fertilization's the question that I have.
and then, you know, maybe report back and, you know, I think the end of August might be a little early to be shutting it off, but do something to curtail the usage by shutting it off in late September or something.
You
When does
mentioned.
the- Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
When does the fertilization take place? Because that's important
Yes,
as well.
it is.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think that's in the fall, September.
So you want to make sure you don't shut it off before it gets fertilized.
Right. Mark mentioned something else that made me think of the moisture in the ground. And I don't know how much expense would be involved. I think there's some pretty simple systems that you could get that would tell the system whether or not to come on based on the moisture of that sensor. I don't know how expensive that would be, but I know that that's being used more and more because water conservation is an issue. And it's starting to get important. And if that was not a huge expense, that might be a good way to cut back on spending water on nights that, even in the summer when it wasn't needed, that could be water, that it's going to be watering. You've seen it, where it just rained and then the sprinklers popped on. It's all over, happens like that.
So we
So
can
that-
look into that.
The sensor.
Fact of the matter is, if you're irrigating that stretch picket, it's
There
gonna
would be
cost a
no
little
watering.
bit. So we can try to do it a little more efficiently.
We paved
Plant cactus.
See what kind of
Paved
systems are
the side
available.
going the other way.
So why don't we get a motion to approve the 7,000, and then following the motion, we'll just do a directive for the record for Mark to pursue this, see what we've done the last couple of years. Because I know it's been up and down, because keep in mind, this is like one of the first years we've actually had the whole system running.
Yeah, right.
Two-thirds of it were down for 5
Complain about
years.
brown
That's
grass.
another
We went
point.
from dry to nothing to now. we're
Maybe that's why
playing-
the water bill is so low.
So, is that a motion, Marty?
Yeah,
To approve the 7,033.76?
yes.
I'll second.
Second by Bacon.
With Mark looking into the possibility.
I'll add that into the motion.
Just wanted to direct-
Follow up. Approve the East EDA payables plus pursue these irrigation questions. That sound good?
Yeah.
Do you want to make that a separate motion later on where we can be more detailed? As what
That's what I
information people
suggested,
want?
but he put
Why
it
don't we
in
do
the
that? You want to correct the
We
motion,
could
and just
do
do that?
that.
Just do a directive.
That's just fine. You got the point, right?
What's that?
You got,
I'm
the
sorry.
motion's fine.
He's got the point.
Everybody's got the point across.
Okay.
As
Yeah,
long as
right.
you're behind it, Marty, we're good.
We're gonna look into it. You guys make a motion, do whatever you want, but we're gonna look into the situation.
Sounds good.
So, all in favor of motion by Marty, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion's approved.
All right, and the next item is the receipt and file of your income expense statements. The EDA is on, starts on page 4. This is through December, so it's starting to wrap up the year end. Total revenues for the year, the amended budget was $470,000 and a little bit of change. Your actual postings of revenue, a little over $500,000, 107% of the budget. The actuals could change a little bit as we do year-end closing transactions. The expenditures amended budget for the year, $486,000. Actual expenses, $255,000, which is 52% of the budget. And that is primarily the result we've talked about, some of these projects that were budgeted in 19 due to high bids and other reasons are being rolled over into 19. So you have an addition to fund balance this year of a little over $200,000. That's effectively been budgeted for in FY '20 for the projects that didn't get done in 19. Kind of same story in the West EDA fund. Total revenues for the year, you had an amended budget of $314,000. Actual revenues of $326,000, or 104% of the budget. Budgeted expenditures, a little over $830,000. Actuals were $216,000, or 26%. The biggest one there is, this is the West EDA, is the Lincoln Road. And that did not get done in 19. Hopefully, that'll get worked on in 20. It is part of the West EDA's 2020 budget, the contribution to that project that you approved at the end of 2019. So you had an addition to the fund balance in the West EDA fund of about $358,000, but that's all been budgeted for in 2020. The balance sheet for the East EDA, you're going to end the year with approximately $1,373,000 of fund balance, all of that in the form of cash. And in the West EDA, year-end fund balance of $1,126,000. Some change, again, all, essentially all in the form of cash that is being drawn down. I'll just repeating myself, but being drawn down in FY '20 for projects, the sewer project, there's a road project, and funding for sidewalks down Lincoln and the West EDA budget for FY '20. Those are just receive and file. There will be, as there always is, I would guess in May, it'll either be the May or June meeting where the auditors will come out and make a report as to the year-end position at that time. And that is all I have, Chair.
Questions, comments?
When do we anticipate starting the Lincoln Road project? Do we have any idea yet from the Road Commission?
Is that what your question was?
I do not. I do know they're still working on securing some easements, and it won't be able to start until that time. But I do believe that it's still slated for 2020.
You can do the whole thing or just part?
This will be the part south of the bridge.
Okay, they're not gonna do a, okay.
Any more questions on the financials? Hearing none, let the record show the financials were received, filed.
Thank you.
And also on your agenda, on item 6C, there is the board matrix, expiration matrix. Just keep an eye on your expiration point, so gotta renew or recruit.
The EDA is in pretty good shape. You don't have any openings until possibly later this year when there's an election at the Board of Trustee level. All the other positions, there are no expiration dates until 2021 at the earliest. In terms of the new business,
Sure.
the, looking for authority approval to participate in the 2020 Festival of Banners event. This is an annual event that the EDA, the East EDA, has been participating in it for the last several years. They're looking to do it again in 2020. There'll be, I want to say 78 banners that will be put up up and down Pickard on both sides of the street. It's in partnership with Outreach of Mid-Michigan. They also use Jameson Hall to paint the banners, and then they get hung in the spring and are there during the summer. That cost is $4,500. It is part of the 2020 budget that you approved.
A question on that, Mark, is it, we've always done the banners over on Pickard Street, and they're all throughout downtown. And it's kind of nice, actually. It's kind of colorful, and it's pleasing to look at. Have they ever thought about, and I don't know if it would, how the rest of this board would think about it, but I think it'd be kind of neat to be able to expand it a little bit this direction. Well, we've
Just
got,
keeping in mind,
we have our
would
West
have to
DDA
exist within
districts
these
on
districts.
Lincoln here, and I'd just, even in front of the Township Hall, would be kind of a nice bright addition to the area. The question is obviously where you'd hang them. But we'd get, somebody from, dress up in a costume like Rick or something to wave one around.
Selling mattresses. Or taxes.
One day for it yourself.
Barker. Yeah, Barker.
But I'm not sure on our West DDA boundaries whether we go down Pickard at all to the east or not, to the city limits, or if it's just Lincoln.
The program as it exists now runs down Pickard from Somerton back west to the city limits. So it's covering all of that, which is all in the EDA. The West EDA, I think the challenge there would be where to hang them.
Light posts.
There's no.
Yeah.
Which actually may open up the whole question of lighting for the West DDA, which probably needs to be addressed.
Not
Because-
in this agenda item.
No, I'm just saying that, but that might be for a further discussion.
Can of
You're
worms.
bringing up the idea of where to hang them because you don't have any place. Well, a light pole is a place. Well, maybe it's time to start thinking about projects on the west in corridors that are already signified DDA. At some point, that discussion took place for the East DDA, and so
Yeah.
I think it's time that we start looking this direction for those projects that have to be listed for ongoing reason to exist. That's why we're here, to do projects. One thing that I am addressing on this, and I don't know if anybody notices, but or even agrees that the logo is a nice logo, and the banners are reprinted every year. But for some reason, when I look at that, I look at the back of the logo, which is all the sponsors are on the back of the banner, and the painting is on the front side. And when I look, there's the Chippewa Indians logo pops out pretty nice. But I have to look, and it's hard for me to find. It's usually, I think it's at the top. It's hard for me to find that Charter Township, even though I know it's there. I'm looking. I'm just wondering if there's any consideration of getting some kind of a logo on there that, because we've been promoting this and supporting this, and they do the banners at Jameson Township Hall. So, the logo says something, and I'm just wondering if maybe we should look at that in a way that the logo could come and pop a little more than, for me, that's how I see it.
And the board years ago made a conscious decision not to put the township's name on it. We wanted to be just a silent supporter of it and the arts in the area, but not put the name on it. That was years ago.
Right.
So maybe the census of the board's changed, but
Well, I guess we could take
I
the
mean-
name right off it, but it seems like everybody else wants to support it. If that's a sponsor, it seems like we would too. But I mean, if you want to take it off, that's an option too.
I don't even
It
think it's
used
on
to
there
be
now,
off.
is it?
As the chair indicated, it used to not be. The township was not acknowledged at all on the banner. The last 2 years, I think it was 2, not 3, but 2, the logo was reinserted, and the board agreed with that. And I haven't looked closely enough to see if it's prominent or not.
That's a good point.
I didn't know what logo looks like.
That's this one on the front
Talking about
of
that
the
big-
resolution right there.
That's quite a logo. No, never mind. I'm just thinking of some.
You're thinking
one thing.
businessman.
Huh?
You're thinking like a businessman.
Ah, see, that's weird.
So let's go back to the original request for EDA board action. This is the same amount we've always do, right?
It is, same number of banners.
And
same
we already have
amount.
this budgeted,
We have
correct?
it budgeted.
I will make a motion that we authorize participation in the 2020 Festival of Banners.
Support.
Motion by Bacon, support by Smith, to approve this request for EDA board action. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. The action is approved.
Thank you, and that's all I have unless you, any questions for me?
Questions for Mark?
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
I just want to add, like, the comment on, like, the light poles, the sign, a lot of that's a direct function of these bigger projects. You can't put sidewalks and lighting up until you have your whole civil road profile and storm and everything else done, because we're putting that up and then we'll be tearing them back down. So that's kind of the hang up here. East EDA is a more mature build-out. Here, there's not a lot of traffic, you know, as in pedestrian, commercial. I mean, this is still being built out, this corridor, but I think that's a good question to run by the trustees, you know, pass it upstream, to keep that acknowledged.
I figure once Lincoln gets completed, you know, I'm
Yep.
sure part of that's gonna be, this is gonna be lighting, I would think.
Sure.
So then we might have, you know, an opening there. I agree with Marty. I think, you know, that's, the side of town's starting to move a little bit finally, and it should be nice to continue to encourage it.
Well, along that line, thanks. How can we do some planning or acknowledging that those projects are on the agenda?
I mean, I'd like to think we take our head nod from the trustees, and, because keep in mind, the boundaries of the west EDA and the east EDA are pretty restrictive. And then the township is the broader area, so we just, if they want to do it, we could purchase those within the boundaries of our DDA, but, and that'd have to be in concert if they're in tune with matching, you know, the other ones, so we just don't have a goofy looking two signs here and then nothing outside of our boundary line.
What can I do to get a south DBA so I can have some extra tax dollars in my corridor? Tell me the direction that I need to go to get that started.
I'll repeat myself, board of trustees.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think bluegrass should be,
I think it's time.
Yeah.
I think that it's, I'm sitting over there in an island. And with no lighting, I don't have any of the extras, and now there's a new development on the west side of town that is getting improved. They're getting sidewalks, they're getting everything, because they have, you know, they have the funds to do that. I don't have any captured funds in my side of town, but I feel like I deserve that. You know, I think that everybody that's doing business over there, so we need to figure out the avenue to get that going.
well, I think that's our downtown.
It's uptown.
I think that's our.
Yes,
yeah.
it's not
I
downtown,
look at
it's
that as
uptown.
more of a shopping district than our one on the east, to be
Yeah,
frank.
and we ignore it.
Yeah.
Shopping.
We
Yep.
ignore it to the point that I have a sidewalk that's still not
Yeah,
completed
we should
in front
have
of my
Christmas decorations, we
business.
should have lighting, we should have encouraging, you know, businesses to develop there. And I agree with you, I think
So,
that's.
anyhow,
Well, when
that's-
that development-
that's my point
When that
of
development came in
contention.
on the south side, it was getting very, very difficult to set up a new downtown development authority.
Yeah,
There's a lot of entities that don't like it because it does capture money and don't want to see new ones.
Yes, yeah. You know, I agree, but there's a large amount of people that live in that area, and they're not getting service.
Yeah.
And it's the people of our community, or the people of our township, that are low economic hardships, so they're living in, you know, low-income housing. There's people over there that are in the 55 and over, senior housing, and then there's the student population, and now a lot of the international students in that area, and so they don't even have lighting, so,
Yeah, no, I'm not opposed to it, I'm just saying it's very
You guys
difficult
get
now
some
to set up a
ideas,
new
just-
DDA.
yeah.
You pursue those, I mean, maybe the the DDA and the West DDA, we could do like a resolution support towards that or something,
Right.
but it's.
Yeah, I would love
for our-
everybody to think about that, because I have been to the Board of Trustees several times. I have spoken in front of them. Ben knows that, and I still get nowhere. I don't even get my sidewalk completed. I have a sidewalk that's probably 2 of these tables that just are sitting there unfinished. So, that's a mystery to me.
Yeah, yeah.
We could do
So
a
for-
resolution supporting a third, but that's about
But
what we
that's
can do.
not our gig
That's
not.
whatsoever,
our
and they
gig.
didn't hear from here.
All we can do- that's all-
Sorry, I
that's all we
opened up
could do.
that's where
That's all
my
we could do is
business is.
show
It's-
support.
It's only natural for me to want to do that.
So any more business related to the EDA, east and the west? Hearing none, let's call this meeting adjourned at 5:46, and next meeting, February 18th. Thank you.
Opportunity arises.